I got him. Check. Okay.
Yada bim, bada bum, yada bim bum, bim bum, bim bum, yada bim, bada bum, yada bim, bada bum, yada bim bum, bim bum, bim bum. I chitty 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 bim bum bum, I chitty 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 bim bum bum, I chitty 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 bim bum bum, I chitty 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 bum. Chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum, bim bum, bim bum. chitty bum, chitty bim, chitty bum, chitty bim bum, bim bum, bim bum. Hi chitty 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 bim bum bum. Hi chitty 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 bim bum bum. Hi chitty 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 bim bum bum. Hi chitty 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 bum. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So, Yael, would you light the candles? And could you offer this reading before you do? Read that first.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all those who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindled light.
Thank you. The bracha is on page 2. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner L'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Yeshkoach. And we're on page 5 for Kiddush. Seth, we're doing this for you. Because you're the only one that wasn't part of our dinner. We made Kiddush at dinner. Do you want to make Kiddush? All right. Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemahaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim. Join in. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim. Oh, this is a little different version than we did before. Shalom Aleichem on page 24. But before we can welcome those angels, even if we're welcoming them for the second time, let's welcome everybody in YouTube land. Wave. Hi, Mom. Hi, Stephanie. Page 24. From my good friend in Jerusalem, Ruth Gon-Kagan, and her renegade Jerusalem congregation, Nava Tehillah. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Go in peace. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Everybody has one but me. Hey Ben, let's have a little meditation music. We are bound. We're bound up in very tight knots. Choking off the air we breathe, stopping our blood from just pulsating freely, nurturing all of the nooks and crannies and capillaries. Those knots, they make us like computers with very carefully controlled circuitry. The knots in our brains tie our creativity, our link with you. We follow the knot around in intricacy, but they still remain knots. The knots in our hearts keep us from crying and dancing when we long to. They tie us to the posts of fences that separate us from each other. The knots in our muscles, they keep our chests tight, our teeth clenched, our jaws locked, our legs crossed, our shoulders stooped, our backs bent. And they stop us from inhaling the full sweetness of life's breath. Ana v'choach gedulat yamincha tatir yitzura. God, untie our knots. Baruch Shem kivod malchuto. Ana v'choach gedulat yamincha tatir yitzura. Take a good deep breath in. Create that space that Shabbat can allow us to dwell in. Be fully here. Let the rest go. It'll be back soon enough. Join me on page 16. Zamru Adonai bechino, bechino v'kol zimra, b'chatzotzro v'kol shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Yiram hayam umlo, Tevel veyoshveva, Neharot imcha uchav yachad, Harim yeranenu, Lifnei Adonai kiva, Lishpot haaretz, Yishpot tevel betzedek, Be'amim be'mesharim. Back to the middle. Yiram hayam umlo tevel ve'yoshveva neharot imcha uchav yachad harim yiranenu. So Yismachu. I'm going to do a little bit of a mashup here. I'm going to invite you to please put your finger in page 44, but turn to page 13, bottom paragraph. Yismachu means just, who was it, Bobby McFerrin that all said get happy?
What?
Was it Bobby McFerrin that sang that?
Yismachu?
Yismachu.
Oh, don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be
That's him,
happy.
yeah.
Yismachu is y'all be happy. So this is the Jewish Bobby McFerrin way.
Nice.
Ready? Yismechu hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Do that again. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umelo, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umelo. 44. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbehu V'yitangu metuvecha, Shabbat Yismechu B'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kiddushto Shabbat, Chemda liyamim oto karata, Shabbat Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Zecher l'masei b'reishit Shabbat, Zecher l'masei b'reishit Shabbat, Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. The Chadodi, page 20. We greet the bride, we greet the queen, we greet the beloved. Open our imagination. We're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Lecha dodi lekrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor v'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, Shemo tiferet ve'elet kila.
From the top.
Lecha dodi lekrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem. Nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Fifth.
Hitoreri, kuiva orech, kumi ori, uri, shidaveri, kevod Adonai, Allah elech nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi
Please rise,
likrat
face the door.
kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Last stanza. Bohi v'shalom, ateret bala gam besimcha, uvetzola toch emune am segula. Bohi chala, bohi chala.
Lecha dodi likrat
Turn around.
kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Stay up.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, and Baruch Hu on a Shabbat, on Erev Shabbat, means we're warmed up. We're warmed up to the actual, we've moved beyond just the praise for the day and moving to a little contemplation. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamborach, Leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Leolam vaed. Now please be seated and to your handouts. Bringing on the evening, the darkness, reflection, and a new day. Sacred words, even the evenings. Wisdom opens gates locked around our hearts. Asher bidvaro ma'ari v'aravir, b'chochma potech she'arim. Evening, the evening the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv, Aravim, Amen. Understanding alters with the times, changing seasons, cycles divine. Uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et chazmanim. Evening, the evening the frayed edges of our lives. Mahariv, Aravim, Amen. Understanding alters with the times. So I did that already. Soothe our souls with a lilting lullaby. Umisaderet hakochavim v'mishmorotehem b'rakia kirtzono. Evening, the evening the frayed edges of our lives. Maharim, Aravim, Amen. Rolling into the night, rolling away the light. El Chai v'Kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Boy, am I messing this one up. The evening the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv, Aravim, Amen. Spirit of the night, we bless your name. Eternal light, eternal flame. El Chai v'Kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Evening the frayed edges of our lives. Maharim, Aravim, Amen. Maharim, Aravim, Amen. We are loved by an unending love, an unending love. We are loved by an unending love, an unending love. We're embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we're too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we're too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love, an unending love. We are loved by an unending love, an unending love. We're supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we're too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love, an unending love. We are loved by an unending love, an unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. We are loved, 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 loved by an unending love, an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love, an unending love. El ve'achavta al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. The Shema on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Let's read this creative interpretation on page 37 of what we just chanted. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you're tired or you're rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Don't leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They're reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We hold all this to be true and trustworthy for us, that you alone are our God and we are Israel, your people. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously, as we do now on page 40. Micha Mocha, who's like you? Who could possibly be like you? Page 40.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילתו ספלת, נורא תהילתו ספלת, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פרדה את יעקב ויעלום יהיה חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך שמו
גל על ישראל.
Page 43. Okay, so we're going to sing this part in English long enough that we all get it. And we all sing along. Ready? Maybe we'll hum it first. Then we'll add the words. We'll do that, okay?
And understanding
Just the tune first. That's it. Hum with us. Now we'll add the words. Ready?
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
From the beginning.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Keep that going.
Let there be love.
I'll come in on the next one.
And understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Shkivenu and understanding among us. Peace and friendship.
We sing the English.
Be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Now let's just hum it. Ready? Hum. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace. Raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield us and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore.
Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Turn to page 46 and rise for the Amidah. We understand this as our private audience with our Creator, in which we start on page 46 just asking that the words might flow. We will do pages 48, 50, and 52 together and then have some silence. Yananai, 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 Adonai. Yananai, 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 Svatai Tiftav. Adonai, Yananai, Yananai, Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, 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 Adonai. Adonai, 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 Svatai Tiftach. Adonai, 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, 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 Adonai. Adonai, 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 Svatai Tiftach. Adonai, 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. 48. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני. 50. מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. 52. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי Ha'el HaKadosh. Please take the time you need to finish your prayer privately, either the text between pages 54 and 60 or the text of your heart, and we will meet back up on page 62 at the bottom paragraph. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהינו ואלוהינו לעולם ועד. חיינו מגנישנו אותך לדור ועד נודה לך על ספרתך, על היינו מצורים בידיך. Maybe seated when you're finished. Shalom Rav Yisrael, Tasim Le'olam Ki Atam Melechadon L'Kol Shalom L'Tov V'Nechad L'Vorach Baruch Atah Adonai Mevarech Et Amo Yisrael. Bottom of 62. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru say shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru shalom bimromav. A little faster. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Hey, yam ba-da-dum bam bam bam, yam ba-da-dum bam bam, ya-da-dum bam ba-da-dum bam, ya-da-da 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 ya-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na ya-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na-na. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. 2, 3, 4 and ya-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na-na, ya-na-na-na-na-na, 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 ya-na-na-na-na-na. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Keep playing, keep playing, keep playing. Let's read together, bottom of page 63. We reach for you, our God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world. Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat. Find the stillness of the sanctuary which the soul cherished. Renew the covenant of an ancient people. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith. Quiet places and stillness where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness from which we will reach out to each other. We will find strength in silence, and with this strength, we will turn again to your service. Whenever we gather, we always offer a prayer for healing. On page 253, prayers for healing of body, spirit, psyche, relationship, self, all kosher. And what we do is we're going to pause between the stanzas and call out actually the names of the people that we're holding in our hearts. Middle of page 253.
Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
This week we're especially praying for Millie Rottenberg, Howard Simon, Gloria Berkowitz, Gittel Bat Chana, Beryl Ben Sima Vishmuel Leib, Steve Gellis, Shalom Avram Ben Golda Vayeshayahu, Michael Rosenblum, Harav Miriam Yael Chaya Bat Sarah Yitzchak, Maxwell Swain, Menachem Mendel Ben Yehudit Michael, Eric Rivchin, Luke Wright, Chendel Chaya Rafaela Bat Yehudit Sharon, Dolores Mikkel, Harav Eliyahu Ben Miriam Va'avraham, Anita Wellen, James, Janelle, and Bill Edgar, Dr. Valerie Lanier, Eliatario, William Hall, Barbara Hall, Nahama Fega, Nancy Samble, Vivian Chong, Wendy Chong, and Stephen Kushner, Harav Shlomo Asher Ben Miriam. And to these names we add
Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
May they know healing, wholeness, speedily, and uneventfully, and bless those who take care of them as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, so I got a little pre-teaching here. I learned something really fabulous at my convention, so I wanted to share it with you. If you recall, when we were standing in the Amidah in prayer, the center of the Jewish liturgy it was on page 52. Don't turn there. It's known as the Kedusha, and when we do the full Kedusha, we actually say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh 3 times. And when we do that, we're on our toes. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. That's just like a little PS, just a little side thing. In that moment in our prayer, we are trying to look at the world, look at our lives, have a conversation with our Creator from, 20,000 feet, 30,000 feet, as high up as we can go, right? And we're saying Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh because we ourselves are trying to be like the heavenly hosts, like the angels, because, well, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get too wordy about this. When I get to the reading, I just want to put it in context first. But at that moment, we are aiming to sort of transcend ourselves, right? To be as the heavenly beings in that moment. Those of you who are familiar with the Catholic liturgy, they actually got it from us. In the Catholic liturgy, I think it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, holy, 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 God of hosts, the entire world is filled with his glory. Is that how it goes? Yes? Yes? Okay, that's Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech Kol Haaretz Kevodo. So I do not mean any disrespect to the way in which our cousins across the street will interpret this, but this is how it was taught to me by one of my colleagues this week. We say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh because we transcend the first Kadosh, which is masculinity, the second Kadosh, which is femininity, and by the time we get to the third Kadosh, we have transcended all gender. And that's what it means to actually look at our lives and to look at the world from even the highest realms of the heavens. So I really liked that interpretation of Kadosh, 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 and lifting ourselves up so much so that we have shed all of that behind. That's not what I came here to teach you today, but I like that, so I wanted to bring it to you. Okay, so last week, if you remember, if you were here, I talked about how I was a little bit in mourning for seeing the last episode of the last season of a beloved show, which is the book of Genesis. And next up, of course, after the book of Genesis is the book of Exodus. And we like to think, right, very often, if I was going to say the names of the books of the Bible in Hebrew, you say, no, use the English words like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. And we think they're English names, but actually they're Greek. They get their names from the major narrative that runs through the book, right? So Genesis, right, that's like in the Greek, right? It's the creation of the world, the formative families of our spiritual ancestors. So that is the book of Genesis. Exodus, of course, contains the story of our servitude in Egypt, the signs and wonders that brought our people out of slavery and into the desert, the revelation at Sinai, the giving of Torah, the building of the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary in the desert. Leviticus, right? Also a Greek word, mostly a manual for the priests and the priestly sacrificial cult. The priests descend from the tribe of Levi, hence the name Leviticus. And in Greek, the word deutero means second, and nomi means telling. So Deuteronomy is largely a retelling of the laws that are given in the previous 3 books. It's Moses' swan song. He knows he's not going to be leading the Israelites into the desert, and he desperately wants them to remember all that he's taught them. Only the book of Numbers is a standout. That's clearly an English word, and it's called Numbers. Anybody knows why it's called Numbers? Because it starts with a census, a whole lot of numbers. But it's really a book that is a conglomeration of stories that take place during the wandering of 40 years. And that's the Greek system or the English system, but the Hebrew system goes by a very different way of looking at things. Very much, I might have explained this to some of you, like the rest of the Jewish Hebrew nomenclature, the book, all books of the Torah, like the Parshiot, the Parshas, they are called by the first significant word that appears in that section. So the very first word of Genesis is Breshit, as in in the beginning of God's creating the heaven and earth. So that's what that means. And now, this week, we've arrived at the book of Exodus, known in Hebrew as names, or Shmot, if anybody remembers that. And in this context, it's the names, the Shmot, of all of Jacob's descendants who move down to Egypt because of the famine, right? We've all been reading this. They moved down to Egypt at Joseph and Pharaoh's invitation. And the Torah text tells us that they numbered 70 people in total from the families of Jacob's 12 sons. They are, and I could do this. This would be a great, bar bingo game. Can you name the 12 tribes of Israel, Jacob's 12 sons? So they are Reuben, Simeon, or Shimon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, and Benjamin, and of course, Joseph and his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. We met them last week. They're already in Egypt, though. But the text tells us, over the 400 years of slavery, they become very prolific. They have lots and lots of children, many, many descendants, and they become so numerous several generations later that Pharaoh feels threatened by their numbers. Now, through a Jewish lens, the name of the book, Shmot, names have a much broader significance in that still, Jews, each and every one of us, we're constantly recalling and remembering and honoring the names of our ancestors and our teachers. Throughout Jewish literature, just like in the Bible, where you sometimes read, maybe you've seen this, so-and-so begat somebody who begat somebody else who begat somebody else, and it's this whole long list of names. The same goes for the Talmud, where it constantly is recounting rabbis who quote teachings in the name of their rabbi, who heard it from another teacher, who yet got it from another teacher, got it from another teacher, and it goes on and on. It's not plagiarism, it's called quoting your source. And even further back than that, and for as long as the Torah has been around, we still very often name our children. Even often their secular names are after our biblical ancestors. So I don't know. Who's got a biblical name in their first name? So, right, Sarah, and Yael, and Ramathia, and Jesse, you've got a biblical name. Yishai, and Seth, you've got a biblical name. So you see, still, it's kind of amazing. After the thousands and thousands of years, we are still called these names. And they're not the only ones, right? Any time you hear a Joshua, Zachary, a Samuel, a Michael, a Raphael, a Leah, Rachel, Sarah, Rebecca, Dinah, Abigail, Joel, Jonah, Aaron, David, even Isaiah, that's coming back, right? Not so many Haglas, Zephaniahs, and Habakkuk's, but still, right? I think we're doing pretty well for a couple thousand years, that we're still continuing to draw inspiration of how we remember and how we name our children. And the biblical list of names that we still use goes on. And that doesn't even touch the variations, such as Elizabeth, which is from Elisheva, Ethan, and Evan. The list just goes on and on. Now, etymologically speaking, all of these names actually mean something. They're words, or they're conglomerations of words. The Bible doesn't throw names around willy-nilly. A close reader of the text will hear whispers of meaning in each character, and a little foreshadowing, perhaps, of what's in store or for the legacy of that character. And as modern Jews, we attach meaning to the names that we give our children, and in the case of those who choose Judaism, the names that we take on ourselves. Names matter. We understand that the names that we give our children our Hebrew names, they carry power. It's the name that God knows us by. It's the name that connects us to our eternal covenant. And regardless of whatever name you choose, your name will always include the Hebrew names of your father and your mother. But what if your father and your mother don't have Hebrew names? Well, then your name contains the spiritual lineage of our original spiritual ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, also known as Avraham Avinu, Abraham our father, and Sarah Imenu, Sarah our mother. And for a man, you were always known as Ben, son of your father and your mother, or Ben Avraham v'Sarah. Or for a woman, you were Bat, daughter of your father and your mother, or Bat Avraham v'Sarah. And if you're non-binary, or you prefer, you are Mi-Beit, from the house of your mother and father, or Mi-Beit Avraham v'Sarah. And some of us have associations appended to our Hebrew names. So does anybody raise your hand if you know if you're descended from a Kohen or a Levi? Anybody from the house of, known as a Levi or a Kohen? No? I know my dad was a Levi. Much not followed so much in the Reform practice, although people do still keep it. When I was ordained, I got Harav put at the beginning of my name. Teachers are given honor with Morenu before their name, before that. It means our teacher. In your Hebrew name, your father always comes first. Goes father, then mother. Except there are two cases. Does anybody know or anybody remember what those two cases are when you don't include the father's name first and you include the mother's name, or the mother's name first? I didn't teach it in class, so it's not a trick question. One, and this is one of my favorite teachings, if you're praying for healing, like we just did, it gets switched. You're always called by your mother's name first. And the reason for this is just stunning to me. It's because, well, first I have to, in English, the quintessential feminine organ, the one where life gestates, when we have it removed surgically, it's called what? A hysterectomy. It comes from the Greek, the Latin, right? So the quintessential feminine emotion that is associated with the quintessential feminine organ would be hysteria. So in Western mindset, the quintessential feminine emotion is hysteria, from the hysterum. I think that's what it is. Is that what it is? Ramatya. That was the hysterum, right? Okay. In Hebrew, the quintessential feminine organ is called your rechem. The emotion that is associated with rechem is rachamim. Can you hear the connection? Rechem and rachamim. Anybody know what rachamim means? Compassion. Exactly. So in the Western mindset, the quintessential feminine emotion, hysteria. In the Hebrew way of thinking about it, it is compassion. So what does this have to do with when we pray for healing? We understand that when we're praying for healing, we are drawing upon the Holy One's compassion, which in that moment we are imagining is as in the compassion of a mother. That's strong, right? So that God should watch over those who are sick and heal those who are sick as a mother would pray or watch over her children. So that is why we always include the mother's name first when praying for healing. So normally you might be daughter of Abraham and Sarah, but if I'm praying for healing, I would be daughter of Sarah and Abraham. So that's the one time, the first time that that might be not the most obvious. What might be the second reason that you don't use your father's name first? Your father doesn't have a Hebrew name, or your father's not Jewish, right? So if you only have one Jewish parent, you go by that Jewish parent's name, even if that is it's your mother or your father. So that's how that works. So often we hear that one of the reasons that people admire the Jewish people is their deep connection and dedication to family. Now, we're not alone in that, but it's still very strong. And of course, Jews nurture this connection from the very beginning of life in the way that we name our children. And naming our children after beloved relatives is a very ancient practice for us, probably the reason that we still are called by our biblical names. So I'm just wondering, raise your hand if any of you were named after a relative, either in English or in Hebrew. Yeah, see a lot. It's a very common way of naming, yeah. Even if it's a first name, sometimes it's just, you just have to take the first name of somebody's, of their name. So raise your hand if you were named in Hebrew for someone or something else, not a beloved relative. Okay, so how'd you get your name? It's a great story. So that's beautiful. So it's common, but definitely not always. And Yael is an amazing story. What strength and yeah. So, is there anyone who I don't want to call anybody out, but if you have never received a Hebrew name, or you feel like you have a Hebrew name that needs work, maybe an additional Hebrew name, or you want an additional Hebrew name to mark a powerful life transition, or if you're converting and you want some help in choosing a Hebrew name, then please let's talk soon so that you can receive a name that connects you too to this meaning. Children never tire of hearing the stories of their birth and beginnings. And Jews are nothing without our stories, our roots, our beginnings, and our travels, and what we've learned along the way. That our foundational story, the book of Exodus, that our foundational story begins with the recounting of names of the people who make us who we are and who made our story come to life, is not an accident. That we continue to read this, our foundational book of Exodus, of Shmot, the book of Shmot, names over and over during the course of our lives, is not only a testament to our enduring covenant with God, but also to the powerful connection to our story, to our ancestors, and to our people. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to turn back to our books and to page 282, to Aleinu, and invite us to rise if you're able. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Please be seated. Oh, may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. And then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. 287. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo turn to page 294 and the Mourner's Kaddish, when we turn our attention to those who gave us life, who taught us, who walked with us, who held our hands, but who no longer walk this earth. This week in our congregation, we're still in Shloshim, the first month after death, and observing Shloshim for Susan Strauss-Pinn, Lawrence Kushner, Evelyn Malsberg, and Alan Mentha. And we're observing the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of Shirley Boyarsky, Lisa Feldman, Dr. Nathan Frank, and Shirley Port. Is there anyone else here who is observing a yahrzeit or who is in their year of mourning? I invite you to rise and say their name out loud. If it's your practice to rise for the Mourner's Kaddish, I invite you to do so. If it is not, I invite you to remain seated. Page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen.
May their memories always be for a blessing. Hey, Seth, you up for announcements? Oh, don't act so excited. I'm gonna bring this life. You going to Israel?
What?
You going to Israel?
Yeah.
Me too.
When?
Me too. I'm going to be there in February for 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
We're gonna be there same time.
Yeah. We should have dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have falafel, I think.
I want to meet your machatonim.
Oh yeah.
The social hall renovation is happening, but we need everyone to donate to cover the 10% FEMA doesn't pay. If you haven't stepped up to take the Chai Challenge, now is the time. Donate a multiple of Chai, that's 18, for 12 months. If every family donates $180 for 12 months, we would meet or exceed our needs. If $180 is too much of a stretch, can you do $126 or $72 or $36 monthly? You name your multiple, but we hope every single member of our community will donate to this important effort. Find the Chai Challenge page on our website or find the link in the weekly or newsletter.
And on February 5th, we're having our groundbreaking ceremony. Oh, I don't need this. I've already got one. We're having our groundbreaking ceremony on the morning of February 5th. It's going to be wonderful. The mayor is going to be here, and a bunch of city council people. We might going to have a senator and a congressperson. The children are going to sing, and hard hats and plastic shovels for all. So join us on the morning of February 5th for our groundbreaking ceremony.
Does your workplace match charitable donations? If you don't know, find out and help make your donation dollars go further. Lots of companies do. Ask about Benevity. We are thrilled to invite you to our groundbreaking ceremony to mark the beginning of the rebuilding of our community space. Please join us Sunday, February 5 at 11:30 a.m. for bagels and coffee.
11:15. Sorry, it's 11:15. I've got to change that.
Remarks from community leaders and Rabbi Morit, and a musical performance by our religious school children. RSVP via the link in the newsletter or the weekly. Our Reverend Martin Luther King commemorative service will be next Friday, January 20 at 7:30 p.m. Our guest speaker will be Jonathan Holloway, president of Rutgers University, featuring the JC Ecumenical Community Singers, directed by Gail Blaish Gill and others, musical guests, and participation by guest clergy, elected officials, and our children. Make plans to attend. Please note the earlier start time. Come to services and double your mitzvah points by just pushing a couple of buttons. Talk to me, Seth Lubin, about being part of the tech crew to ensure our services are live streamed to all at home. Plenty of other ways to rack up those mitzvah points by volunteering a little or a lot, or just ask Tom or Rabbi at the Oneg. Religious school meets this Sunday. Please welcome Lindsay Holman.
No, there's no religious school this Sunday.
Religious
Sorry.
school is not meeting this
No,
Sunday.
MLK, we're off.
I guess I could skip that point.
Yes, thank you.
The next Tot Shabbat will be Saturday, January 21 at 10:30 a.m. for singing, dancing, story time, and other age-appropriate activities. Our next community Shabbat dinner will be on January 27th at 7 p.m.
Come back.
Reserve your place by January 24th. Details in the weekly. Temple Ner Tamid is sponsoring a Shabbatathon, a day dedicated to the love of prayer, study, and community. Saturday, January 28th, from 9:30 to 6. 9:30 to 6?
Yeah, it's all day.
Oh, I see. The on-site cost is $36, and the virtual cost is $18. Registration links are in the weekly. Children 7 and under should plan to attend our Pajama Havdalah on Saturday, February 4th at 5 p.m.
But you have to come in pajamas.
Come to temple in pajamas, grown-ups too, and with your special blanket and stuffed animal for pizza, Havdalah, and a movie, and canto, complete with popcorn and snacks. We have
That was
dropped
for
all
you.
our mask and vaccine requirements. We have, however, established the mask required section of the sanctuary for people who feel most comfortable sitting near other masked people. Change the world one meal at a time with 1 hour out of your week. Help feed our hungry and homeless neighbors. Thursdays at our food pantry. Don't have an hour? Help feed them with a donation for the food we buy. Details on the website or just show up. We'll be glad you did.
Thank you. Yeshua. Great. Okay, we're going to close with Ein Keloheinu, page 322. Yum bum 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 ba da 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 dum, bum 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 ba da 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 dum, yum da da dum bum 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 ba da dum bum, ya da dum bum 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 bum. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, ya da da ya da da ya da da na 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 ya da na 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 na. Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Elohenu, Mi Chadonenu, Mi Chemalkenu, Yanana, 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 na 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 na, Yanana, na 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 na, Mi Chemoshienu, No Del Elohenu, No Del Adonenu, No Del Emalkenu, Yanana, 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 na 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 na, Yanana, na 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 na, No Del Moshienu, Baruch Elohenu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkenu, Yanana, 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 na 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 na, Yanana, na 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 na, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Elohenu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkenu, Yanana, 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 na 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 na, Yanana, na 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 na. Tahu Moshienu. Yum bum 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 ba da 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 da. Yum bum 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 ba da 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 da. Yum ba da dum bum bum bum. Ya da dum bum. Ya da dum bum 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 bum. More challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avot.
Amen.
Pass it along. And there's dessert in the back, right? So please stay for dessert and coffee. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Going too much around my head and around my neck and.
Oh, really? During that time?
In February. That's why we're not
Oh, I think I'll tell you the dates. We're going to book it in the next couple of days. It's like February 13th through March, right after Purim. We'll come back the day after Purim. Yeah. Did you see? I sent you a Purim script.
I did. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. It's one of them. I'll send some